How I Met Maria Orsic. It was the summer of 1976. America was celebrating its bicentennial birth year. Everything was red, white and blue. I just turned 7 and in a few weeks was entering the 2nd grade. I was about to learn how strange and dangerous the so-called real world, the grown-up world, was. It was a warm August night in Spanish Lake, Missouri. Spanish Lake is a tiny town on the outskirts of St. Louis, at the confluence of the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. My stepfather, mother, and I had drifted off to sleep, when from my dream world I heard a woman's voice. I thought it was my mother. What is she saying, I thought, as I came to my senses. I heard her speak again. She said, "Joe, wake up. I've come to see you and I have some important things to tell you." I opened my eyes and said out loud, "Who are you?" She answered back, "I'm your ancestor. I'm your real mother." I realized her voice was coming from inside of my head. Her voice was calm and reassuring. I was not afraid. And hearing a voice inside my mind was not completely foreign to me. In fact, it was an evil, attacking voice, that made up my first memory as a boy on Earth. Lightning lit up the sky and I could hear the wind blowing. A storm is starting, I thought. Come to your parents' window, so I can see you and you me. I miss you dearly, Joe. I know you can't remember me, but I love you deeply. I exchanged much heart energy with you before you came to Earth and I hate to see you troubled. I got out of bed, walked across the hall and pushed open my parents' bedroom door. A bright light shone through the window that looked out on our backyard. The air smelled of static electricity. My friend the weeping willow tree was blowing hard and I could hear a light humming sound. I walked to the window, looked up and could not believe what I saw. A UFO a little smaller than our tiny 2-bedroom house was hovering over the tree, shining a spotlight through the window. I stepped back as fear ran through my whole body. My first thought was, it looks just like the movies. I whispered, "Wow." And a few more wows. Then the woman spoke, "Look above the colored lights, at the window with the light on," she said. For there were multicolored lights going counterclockwise around the lower, wider, bottom part of the craft. I looked. "Can you see me waving to you?" she asked. All fear left me when I saw her waving and in my mind, I said to her, "I see you," as I waved back. The outline of her body is familiar, I thought. Joe, I know you're confused. I know you have been thinking that you are more aware, wiser, than your parents, your teachers, and the church people. You're wondering how can this be, I'm just a little kid. You especially feel sorry for your Earth mother and you know what can help her. You know she believes lies, and this makes her sad. Joe, my son, it is because you were with me before you came to Earth. You were already someone before you came to Earth. You can hear me because I'm with you through heart energy. I will be with you to the end of your life on Earth and when you return home. I'm in your blood. Joe, know and hear me, you were already someone before you were born. You're wondering about the UFO. I am the UFO. I made it with my imagination. Look at me, my son, one more time before I leave, she said. I looked up at the window. This time I saw 2 people waving. Standing beside her was someone bigger and taller. Joe, my son, I promise you I will visit you again, in my UFO, so you will know this was not a dream. And when you are older, you will come to know why I came to visit you tonight and why these are the last words. Till then, you are good, you are from the good, you are from the white race and the white light, she said. The UFO moved and the very light hum went up a few octaves. It turned off the spotlight. The room went dark. It drifted about 20 or 30 feet above the tree. The static electricity became much stronger and some of my hair floated up in the air. I laughed to myself and said out loud, "Wow." I felt excited and cheered on the craft in my mind. Then a bright flash and a bang like a lightning strike. I jumped in fear and looked back and it was gone. The woman spoke in my head, Go back to bed, Joe, and know, I love you forever. In the morning tell your Earth mother what happened. Standing in the dark I looked at the two figures in the bed. They were sound asleep. I left their door open, walked back to my bed, and laid down. I thought to myself, I saw a real UFO and wasn't afraid. They weren't aliens, they were people, they were my family before I came to Earth. I knew I didn't just begin 7 years ago. What she said makes sense. I wondered, who am I and what do I do at my real home? The woman answered in my mind, you're my son Joe, and what I mean by that is, you're my student and I'm your teacher, back home. I laughed with joy and said out loud, okay, if you say so. And I really like your UFO at school. The next morning I sat at the kitchen table as my mom made me cinnamon toast. When she said it in front of me I said, Mom, did you know there was a UFO at our house last night? What? Stop making up stuff, she said. No, really Mom. A lady woke me up in the middle of the night and said to look out your window. I did, and a UFO was floating over the tree, I said with plenty of happiness in my voice. Oh, you're just saying that because of the UFO movie Herb took you to see, she said. No Mom, I'm for real, I said. Well, you must have been dreaming because there's no such thing as UFOs or aliens, she said. They weren't aliens, Mom. I told you, it was a nice lady. She said she knows me from before I was born here, I told her. What the heck are you talking about? You must have been dreaming, she said. She told me she would come back so I would know I wasn't dreaming, I said. Joe, stop this, you have to go to school and you're starting to scare me, she said. But Mom, that's the thing, they're not scary aliens. At school, I was met with the same responses. It stunned me. I thought I had great news for the world. Nice people, not aliens, are flying around on UFOs. Later that year there was an incident with our second grade teacher. She had half-choked a student in her frustration to keep us in order. The counselors, teachers, and principals were investigating what happened. I was there and said, a black man who looked like smoke or a shadow went into Mrs. Grinnell and he made her choke Pat. They looked at each other and my counselor Mrs. Adams asked me, have you ever seen anything else like that? I thought, this is my chance to tell them about the UFO. Well, back in the summer I seen a UFO in my backyard, I said. Again they looked at each other. Oh, did you? She asked, smiling. I already knew they didn't believe me, but I said anyway, they were people and not aliens. Mr. Heil, the school principal, bent down to my level and asked, did they tell you anything, Joe? Yes, it was a woman, she said she made the UFO herself, with her imagination. And that I and she knew each other before I was born here. Mrs. Adams said, interesting. Anything else? Asked Mr. Heil. Well, she said, she was my real mother, and that she was my real teacher, and I was her student. And I was somebody before I was born, I said. Mrs. Adams bent down, took my hand and said, that's interesting, you must have been dreaming. And it sounds like a good dream. And it's good to dream, Joe. Thanks for being honest with us, she said. I knew they didn't believe me. The woman in the UFO kept her promise to return. Perhaps 14 years to the day, I'm not sure of the exact dates, in late August, in the least expected way, she came to see me. There we stood, my two best friends and I, in the crowd, at the first Lollapalooza festival. We drove a few hours northeast up Highway 70 to an amphitheater outside of Kansas City. After a beautiful day of magic mushrooms and music, punk rock legend Seox and the Banshees took the stage as the purple sunset gave way to black night. I waited for Hong Kong Garden and lit our last roll joint and passed it to Scotty. I took a long, big hit and blew a cloud over the girl's head in front of me. As I did, she seemed to point to the cloud above and I heard her say, oh my God, what is that? I looked at her boyfriend, as he looked up and yelled, "What the fuck, that's a UFO." I looked up and about 100 feet over the stage and to the left, was a UFO. I said, to myself, holy shit. I grabbed Scotty and Tim and said, look, look. The excitement spread like fire. Oh my fucking god. That's fucking real. A spontaneous celebration erupted. I think the band thought it was for them. It was not. I had long forgotten the woman, her UFO, and her promise. Even though I stood with everyone else marveling at the floating craft, I didn't realize it was her. I even thought to myself, it looks just like the movies. It looks familiar. Thoughts I had 14 years previous when I stood in my parents' bedroom, marveling at the craft. A serious, calm, almost reverent, feeling came over the crowd. A guy in front of us yelled out, "They've come to save us." All over people started talking to it, "Beam me up, Scotty, take us home." I looked at my best friend since first grade and said, "What the fuck?" He looked up at the UFO and yelled, "Take us away from this shithole." I looked up and shouted, "We love you. You got a cool UFO." It floated right left some 20 or 30 feet and then vanished. Some dude yelled out, "No, don't go." A few seconds later it appeared on the other side of the stage, back, behind the stage a couple 100 feet. And a spontaneous applause broke out. A punk rock looking guy next to me yelled out, "This is kick-ass. I've waited my whole life to see this." I thought, me too. The whole song it stayed floating around behind the stage. Some clouds rolled in and it went behind them, and turned on some bright white lights, illuminating the cloud. A girl behind me yelled, "It's doing this for us." I thought, she's right, it's communicating with us. Scotty yelled out, "ET phone home." Everyone around us and I laughed. Then the light went dark behind the cloud, and it was gone. Then I noticed how a feeling of complete happiness had came upon me. My first thought was, everything is going to be all right. I could see it in everyone's face, this feeling over pure joy. We started shaking each other's hands, hugging and congratulating each other.
Shadows of the night. those who